Howdy folks, I'm StacheDad and I'm back to finish off her story by watching all of it in order. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it and I hope you all enjoy. I'm going to talk through this obviously because I've seen all of it already. I'm just trying to piece it all together in orders and give my final thoughts on the game.
A black coffee, thanks. No sugar. Sweet enough as it is.
That's still gross.
My name is Hannah. Hannah. It's Palindrome. It reads the same backwards as forwards. It doesn't work if you mirror it though. It's not quite symmetrical, but well, I mean, you get the idea.
Mirrors have a lot to do with this.
Hannah Smith.
I've
I
come
live at
to the
31
conclusion
Glasgow
of.
Street. Simon Smith. He works at Ernst Brothers Glass. They do windows, all kinds of glass. Simon does the more special work, mirror making, feature windows, artistic things, really beautiful things.
I'm pretty sure the main idea of this game is actually self.
Well, they have one for the glaziers, but it's only for work.
But why there's so much talk of mirrors and reflections and glass.
It's in the kitchen. I saw it plugged into its charging cradle. Simon is 6 foot, darkish blonde hair, average build. He's clean shaven. If his beard grows, it goes ginger, so he shaves it. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with ginger hair. I bought a photo. They said a spring photo.
We never get to see
This
it.
was taken last year on holiday in Rome. It's the best one I have. No, he doesn't have any tattoos.
Can't really see it.
He has a scar down here near his stomach, past his hip.
He's also got one in his
Suffered some
throat.
glass.
One glass.
Before, a long time ago. He looks just like the photo. He's not got his glasses on here though. He takes them off for the camera. But he needs them to see properly, you know. He has to read a newspaper or a menu in a restaurant. Not books so much, or watching TV. He likes TV. He was wearing a shirt, with a blue turtleneck shirt and jeans. He has a watch. It's a really nice one. That was a gift from his boss, Eric. He had his coat, a long grey duffel coat, like Paddington Bear.
So at this point, we're still selling it as a
a
missing persons case. Obviously, it's going to be, I don't know how long this part keeps up, but that's how we're going to keep going for a bit.
We had an argument. He left. On Saturday, he didn't come back. I waited all day. He was supposed to go help Eric out with something on the Saturday afternoon. They had a job, but he didn't show. So Eric was ringing on the phone. I checked at the Rock, that's our local. They said they'd seen him on the Friday night, but not since. He still wasn't back this morning. It just isn't like him at all. Still not back by dinner time. It's getting dark again.
She clarifies with, it's not like him at all, as if missing is something like him at all.
It's the Rockington Arms, the Rock. It's run by a nice couple, Peter and Susan. There's some other regulars there that Simon likes to drink with, and the barmaid they're having sometimes, Helen. Peter said Simon had been in and had a few drinks. No. I think he spoke to Helen. She said he was upset about her argument, but I'm not sure what else he said. He likes Helen. He likes blondes.
Oh, we know what that means now.
No, couple stuff. A stupid argument, nothing specific. No one knows how to push your buttons better than those you're close to. No. I mean, yes, we have arguments, but he never runs off. He always comes back. We make up. It's always that way. A long time. We got married when I was 17. Childhood sweethearts. Something like that. Are you married, detective?
Our first example of her.
Suicide? No.
That's a little
He would never do
disjointed.
anything like that. He is not the kind of person
There
to
was
do
our first
anything
example
like
of
that.
her trying
To
to
hurt
push
himself.
the focus off of herself.
No. No. Not drugs. I mean, he drinks, but never very much. He goes to the pub and has one or two. Sometimes we go together. He drinks wine with food, but
I'm still thinking about things. I'm using this as a road to come to my final
Yes, there's
determinations,
a
but I've
share
definitely
of
settled on things I do
candle
and don't believe at this
and the
point.
van he uses for work. It's owned by Eric, but we look after it. Both of them are there now, parked on the street. I'm not sure about the keys for the van. I can look for you when I get back. No. I'm not sure what strange would be, but he hasn't been acting odd. He's been busy at work, but nothing too stressful. Sure? Yes, of course, if that would help. Will you phone the house to let me know when you want to come round? Then I can make sure that I'm there. He has a wallet, a huge, silly thing, leather, real leather, I think.
You
has
can-
it full of
Watching it in
stuff.
order like this, you can
business
definitely
cards,
tell the
receipts,
padded for time
jackets.
questions versus the
Always carries it in his back
actual
pocket.
pertinent
That's
stuff.
got a bad back, you know. Offsets the discs. I haven't seen it, so he must have it on him. He always takes it out of his back pocket before when he comes in, if he's in the house. Yes, that would be in his wallet. It's a Visa, a silver one. He doesn't like to spend money he doesn't have, so he usually pays with cash, but Eric convinced him to get one.
Couldn't carry
Sure.
cash on you. It's a bad
Yeah.
idea.
I do all the bills and paperwork and handle all the money stuff, so it should be easy for me to find. Do you want them dropped off to you? Yes, there's an Amstrad one. No one uses it for very much. There's a printer so you can write letters on it. Simon sometimes plays games, you know, climb the tower, save the princess, that kind of thing.
I still don't know what this question was supposed to be.
No,
I-
he doesn't keep
I would
diary.
like to know.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
I've got one, well...
I guess it's a good thing we can't read her diary, because if we could read her diary, that'd probably just give everything away. That being said, I still wish I could read her
You're
diary.
forced to put something into words. Just gives you perspective. Everyone's on the same page. Simon isn't the type to run off or do anything crazy. Someone must have done something to him, or there must have been some kind of accident.
I wonder if... She said she was Hannah at this point, but
Thanks.
it could be Eve pretending to be
Please hold,
Hannah,
Simon.
because they even
Love
say
you
later
so
that
much.
she does that.
Could I have a cup of tea? I haven't been into work. I guess I've just been waiting to hear from you, hear from my husband. Bruce? Oh, yeah, no, it's nothing. I was going through the top cupboard in my kitchen and the chair slipped and I kind of hit the door with my face. We hurt like hell.
Oh, yeah? Definitely don't believe that one.
I've been round to Doug and Eleanor's and they're very worried.
I haven't decided
I feel sorry for them.
if I think it's a real bruise or not, though.
Eric's
Obviously,
like
it's
an
not
uncle
real
to
in
him.
real life,
They were pretty close. They spend a lot of time with each other.
but it
Especially
also
when they
doesn't
have to go
look
to
very
conferences.
convincing.
Have you
I'm
met his wife,
wondering if
Diane?
it's supposed to look like makeup on her face instead of look like a bruise.
Diana's really nice. She helps out with the glaziers, organises the Christmas party, that sort of thing. They have 2 kids, really sweet kids. She used to look out for me when I worked there. Okay, I'll try my best to remember. Yes, he left after the argument. It was about 8 o'clock. Yes, that's my birthday. Not one of the big ones, but I guess you can see that. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm quite a private person and I didn't want to get into the detail of the argument.
Silly.
It was my birthday, like you said.
That
We were going to have a meal
clearly
at
looks
home.
like someone trying
We
to hide
had
something.
Our meal. He gave me his present. I guess I didn't like the present.
Okay, so the initial mention of the present is, I guess I didn't like it.
It was one of those arguments that had been simmering for a while. The present was a mirror, a nice mirror. He'd engraved the glass, the kind of mirror a princess would have in a story.
First mention of princess.
Especially for me. When you've been married for 10 years, stuff accumulates. We could argue about anything. And he's so nice. That doesn't help. He tries to smooth things over, and that just makes it worse. We're both passive-aggressive, so we never normally argue directly about anything. What about us? I did. Well, we met when we were 17, both working at the Glaziers. Yeah, when I was at school. I worked part-time in the front shop. It was sort of an extended family thing. My dad used to work there, my mum worked there before I was born. I took care of paperwork, filing, typing out invoices, that kind of thing. It was a good job for a girl back then. I didn't work a till or anything though. I was quite shy, so I wouldn't have liked to have worked a till. No, he was as shy as me. I feel
like this is true of the Hannah personality. I feel the Hannah personality is very shy.
At the Odeon in North End. We went to see Risky Business.
Very
I had on my
withdrawn,
dress.
Inward.
Simon paid. He bought me a whisper.
I feel like the Eve is almost the opposite of that.
I got pregnant. Both our parents had a big powwow. We weren't even in the room. And they decided we should get married.
Because that's how people should get married, via their parents' decisions.
We were both happy to get married. It was a beautiful wedding.
Bollocks.
We had our first dance to come
17, you actually might have been, I don't know.
I'm not sure if that's a good wedding song, but I loved it. I chose it. I mean, it was genuinely our first dance. We'd never danced together before. It was probably awful to watch.
Pretty sure you did the horizontal dance together before that.
It felt like it was just me and Simon for that moment. Just the two of us. We spent the wedding night in a hotel in Brighton. It would have been too much to do more. We were saving for the baby. It was wonderful to be in a hotel, away from home, just alone together. Since then, we've always tried to get away for our holiday. We couldn't afford our own place. Simon dropped out of school, went full-time at the Glaziers. That was Eric's generosity. We moved in with his mum and dad. They had a spare room for us and the baby, if it came. It was a nice change, time to myself, living there for those months, full of hope.
Months? Okay, right, because your parents die a few months later, right?
We carried on living at Simon's parents until, well, it was only a few months after. Then my parents died. It was the worst year of my life. A miscarriage and then my parents. At the time they said it was poison, food poisoning.
Food poisoning isn't poison. What? It's not even close to the same.
Maybe I could have done something.
That's just the name. It's not actual poison.
I inherited it from my parents, so it made sense to move back, me and Simon.
Like she's referring to them actually ingesting poison, but that's not food poison. That's just being poisoned.
Reminded me of being a girl, a dollhouse in the attic, old things. We didn't sleep in my parents' bedroom for a long time. We decorated it as soon as we moved in, but it was another year before we started sleeping there. I got a job.
I'm going to choose that the actress is being good and not bad. I feel like she's acting like she's supposed to feel bad as opposed to actually feeling bad about these things. I'm going to say that the actress is doing good in conveying that, not that the actress is just bad. Because I think she's great.
It's never just been the two of us. There's always been pressure. I mean, I don't know. Something must have happened to him on his way home. He could be hurt. I mean, why hasn't he phoned? I don't know. Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Rock. We've spoken to everyone there.
Okay, so
Someone must have seen where he
so we're a
went.
week later at this point, and we still haven't found the body, or
So many
found.
things could have gone wrong. No. I mean, everyone loves Simon. He was so nice to everyone. He loves me. Fine. I've never had my fingerprints taken before. I once put my hand on the oven. Okay? I've given blood before. Do you need to take that for your records?
Oh,
it's
that was the
okay,
last thing, was it?
Detective has just gone to get me one. Oh, tastes fine to me. As long as it's black and strong, I'm good.
Half of this game is this
Nothing
woman's
like this has
thirst.
ever happened to me before. Blood. It's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. The bruise. I have a really fast metabolism, so stuff like that just comes and goes.
That bit right there is so.
I don't know if there's much more that I can tell you, but I haven't already told the other policemen.
Is the wrong side,
I found the body.
and it's been
I
one
think
day,
it's murder.
2 days.
Clearly
It's been
it's
2
murder.
days.
What can I do to help?
I don't think that's fast metabolism. I think the makeup was. I think it was
after dinner.
makeup. I think it was
I'd
fake.
spoken to Sam's parents on the phone. I looked up for an early night and I suddenly had this thought.
I
it
have
was
decided
something
that
someone
I do
said.
not think it's 2 women. I do
She'd
not.
been speaking about old stuff, sad stuff, about when we lived there, about the baby. There's some boxes in the cellar, nursery stuff we never needed, and I never had the heart to throw out. And I suddenly remembered that when I'd looked down there the week before, those boxes, that pile was in the wrong place. I went cold all over. I went down there with a torch and went straight to the back, and that's when I saw the bin bags. Pulled them open, saw the body.
Wait, so he was in multiple bags, but
That's
he
what
was
I
in one piece, or he was
That's
in
what I
multiple
mean.
bags in multiple pieces?
His body.
She is wearing her ring here. I do
Didn't
notice that.
And his throat. It looked like his throat had been cut. And I didn't see his glasses. He has these thick glasses. He doesn't always wear them. No. The whole thing was wrong.
Your murdered husband?
Bags,
Probably.
I think they were from our kitchen. You can probably check that.
Why is she playing with her ring so
Go into
much?
the cellar. It's just a place we put things we don't need. Dad used to grow mushrooms there. The bags were taped up. I think it was parcel tape, but I think it was ours.
Okay, so he was in multiple bags that had been taped together
I wasn't in the house.
in one piece, apparently. He was what?
I wasn't in the house all of Friday night. After the argument, after Simon left, I left too. I was upset and I wanted to get away. So I took the car. I got in the car and I drove. I just kept driving north. Just kept going, just wanted to get as far away as I could. When I finally stopped, I was all the way up in Glasgow. I was so tired. I just had to sleep.
Okay. I believe you went there after you killed him.
I left the next day, Saturday. I slept for a few hours in the car. And when I woke up, I came straight back. Simon wasn't returning my calls and I wanted to try and make up. I got back to the house and...
But it was too late.
Simon wasn't there. And I...
Oh.
Is there a bin?
You get sick at the... Oh, God, that sounded so fake.
Yes.
She got sick at the remembrance of finding
I
Simon.
won't be sick again.
Or of...
This happens some days.
I believe she thought about killing him is why she got sick there, not because of
I'm
morning
pregnant.
sickness.
It's morning sickness. No. Well, yes. He found out on my birthday. I told him I was pregnant. Yes. It was a shock to him. I mean, we never thought it was possible. I don't know what he... I mean, I hadn't decided whether to keep the baby. I wasn't really ready to talk to him about it. It was late,
Interesting.
early Saturday morning. Yeah. I pulled over and slept in the car.
We only talk about
This was
being
just by the
pregnant
side of the
after
road.
we've discovered he's
I was
dead.
exhausted.
When he was still missing, there was no talk of
I
pregnancy.
think when I drove back, it was about 8 or something. And I got back to the house about 3. When you suspect someone of murdering their husband. Okay. So you want to eliminate me as a suspect?
That's
Okay.
how murder investigations
Sounds weird.
work.
I'm not great at making up stories.
Oh, that
Okay.
is absolutely not true.
There's a girl and she's staring out of the window. She's sad. She's trapped. She's here. She's looking out the window because her mother won't let her out. It's Rapunzel. The story starts when she's born. Mother Gothel, a witch, takes Rapunzel from her parents and keeps her locked up in this tower. Rapunzel gets pregnant by
So
the
this
prince.
is a form of a test. I'm not sure what kind of test it is. But
Actually,
it appears that
that's
you
what she
show
thought,
someone
so
a picture and ask
that's
them
already
what they think
happened.
it means. Sort of like a Rorschach, I
She
guess.
throws him into the wilderness and Rapunzel is reunited with the
And
prince.
this
who's
lady automatically
blind.
associates princess fairy
She
tales with
kills
the
him with a
picture.
kiss, so it's a happy
Fascinating. That does bring
Is that too
light
much?
to what I keep saying is how obsessed with
Sorry.
princesses and fairy
Sorry.
tales she is.
The picture, the way it's drawn, just reminded me of the books we used to read as children. I read those fairy tales over and over, and they were so real to me. Rapunzel was my favourite. My brain is just full of it. Are any of these in colour? Yes.
So I believe her sister is an
Beginning,
alternate
middle,
personality based
and
on
end.
Rapunzel.
Well, she has a knife. She's been cooking, I guess. She's been cooking him his favourite meal. She's his wife. And he's asleep and she doesn't want to wake him because he's ill. That's why she's sad. Because he's ill and he might die.
That one I don't. At this point, Simon is
It's a
dead,
sad story so much.
so I'm not sure about the possibility of death there, as opposed to he's dead. So I don't know what
Crying.
I don't know what that's a metaphor for.
She's sad because she thought she saw her husband with another woman. But it's okay because she finds out it wasn't her husband, it was his brother. And so it's fine.
I don't know if Simon really cheated with another
Okay.
woman or if it was with the Eve personality.
She's being chased. They're trying to catch her because she did something bad. I guess she broke the rules. Or maybe they think she did something bad. Maybe it wasn't her fault. She looks scared, not guilty. Maybe it was mistaken identity.
I think she knows at this point. I think she knows she has two different personalities.
Did I pass?
Which means I think this
Sorry,
is
let's
Eve.
start with all that Rapunzel stuff.
As I do not think that
Do you
Hannah
need to do that
knows.
card again? Yes. I read a lot as a child and watched lots of TV. Then the doll's house we still have in the attic. It's kind of a fairy castle. We used to play up there and make up our own stories. From when I woke up,
This has got to be like the biggest
Okay.
dollhouse ever. It's crazy to hear about.
I woke up. Simon was already up, and he made me birthday breakfast of eggs Benedict. We both had to go to work, so we saved presents till later. I got to work, had some birthday cake. Children sang me happy birthday. Then I came home. The birthday meal was a takeaway, and Simon gave me his present, which I didn't mind.
Oh, you didn't
After
mind it
that,
now?
We talked about the baby.
Yesterday or 2 days ago, you guessed you didn't like it.
Simon left. I was furious. I wanted to get as far away as I could and get some space to think. So I left. Yes. I got to Glasgow. I was exhausted, so I pulled over and slept in the car. I woke up because a rubbish truck went past. I got some petrol, bought a coffee and a pastry, tried calling someone from the payphone, and then headed back.
I wish I knew how far away from Glasgow they lived.
Yes. I drove in here because I remember, well, I went over the river, and then there was a church there. Yeah. And I probably...
Probably?
Well, I remember seeing a street sign called Princess Street. There it is. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it must be this one. There.
Has anyone ever paid attention to the name of the road they pulled in on without knowing that
That's
you
Watch.
need to pay attention to it?
It was a gift from Eric. He got it this year. It was a wedding anniversary gift. Steel. It would have been Diane who chose it. She has really nice taste. That time, it must eliminate me. I was in Glasgow then.
It's not... It's so
I
dumb.
didn't. I slept in the car.
It's so
I left
stupid.
about 9 that night.
The watches stopped on one
I
time.
wasn't there.
Clearly I didn't do it.
No, I don't think so. Glasgow was deserted that early in the morning.
I can't.
Asked the
Something
hospital.
that dumb. I can't not.
When I arrived in Glasgow, I was exhausted. The streets were empty. I was driving badly. And I hit a taxi. Not a big crash, just paintwork. The guy was so pissed off because I didn't have a driving license on me.
I
But when I told
I
him I was
think-
pregnant,
think she probably
Yeah,
did
sure,
actually go to
I was
Glasgow. I
supposed to
think it was
check it
after
out.
she killed him, and
it was fine.
for some reason in her head she's convinced herself that it will
Hospital
prove as
must
some
have details
form of
when I was looked
elimination.
at.
For some
There's a scratch
reason.
on the car. That should eliminate me as a suspect. If I was in Glasgow, can't be in two places at once. I thought it made me sound suspicious. It's not a normal thing to do to drive to the other end of the country. I wanted to keep it simple.
The other end of
I
the...
knew it was stupid not to tell you everything.
Come again?
Saying I spent the night in Glasgow when my husband went missing, I thought it would, distract you from what was important. It's different now.
And
Nice.
that only looks suspicious. It doesn't look good
No.
ever.
Everyone loved Simon. He's a glazier, he doesn't have much money. I don't know. I don't know. God, I don't know. Could be anyone. Maybe someone followed him back from the pub. But why would he let them in? Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yeah, I had to let myself in. The door locks if it swings too. Yes, I always pull it shut and then lock the bigger lock with the key. No, I don't think it was. I turned the key, but it was already unlocked.
I want to hear what question is asked so badly.
No, they were shut. Most of the windows are really hard to open anyway. They're stifling in summer. They were painted over by my dad. Could have left a door open accidentally. Or there's a cat flap in the back door.
Oh, are we doing this part still?
My parents had a cat before they died called Domino. It was this little black thing with white dots. And we never did anything about the cat flap, but if you were thin, you could maybe squeeze through it. I think so.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Come
to
on.
get into our garden, we'd have to climb through other gardens.
I still don't understand this.
All the gardens back onto each other, so you'd have to climb over
I don't-
1, 2, 3 gardens to get to ours. I mean, did anyone see anything?
That's if they come from this
Did anyone
direction.
see anyone
Someone could come from
go?
that,
An
and it's
intruder?
ah.
When will the police let me back in the house? They let me take a bag of clothes with me, but
Not for a while. It's a crime scene.
the mirror. I can't remember. I put it somewhere safe. Upstairs, I think. I haven't looked at it since. Simon's parents offered to put me up, but I didn't think it would be a good idea. It would be too sad. Not right now. I'm staying at a friend's.
Oh.
A cup of tea would be good, thanks. Just 1 sugar.
She
Well,
goes through the
fine.
tea. Oh, the 1
considering.
cup just has sugar in it. Okay.
I got back into the house today, and that was weird, knowing your people have been there through my things. It's like I've been burgled. I mean, worse, obviously. I don't know. I haven't lived in the cellar yet. They sent a cleaner in. As good as new, he said. But they had to throw some stuff out. Couldn't get the blood out.
We've had pretty good vision of her arm, her left arm, this entire
And
time.
I'm still waiting to hear
There's
from the
not been any
coroner so we
tattoo
get a date
yet.
set for the funeral. It's going to be a cremation. So, fingerprints? No, no one has been in the last few weeks. We had a plumber come in 3-4 weeks ago. Someone Simon knew from the rock. In the bedroom, I hoover my dust every week, maybe less. I once asked Eleanor how often I should dust, and she said, if people ask, tell them you do it once a week,
This.
but every few weeks is okay. I think she was just trying to make me feel better.
Are they asking her how often?
She was hoovering
I
every day.
can't imagine this actually has
In an
anything to do
ordered
with
house.
fingerprints, does it?
You know how that generation is, putting on a brave front. She has secret stashes of cigarettes. Doug doesn't even know she smokes.
Oh,
When I
the
was there,
shock.
I saw her. She has these sort of porcelain vases, ornamental, next to the Reader's Digest books. Cigarettes inside. And she still has them. I mean, last time I was there, I looked in a vase. There was a fresh pack. I mean, all those years of marriage, and she still has a secret like that.
Here's a secret. People that smoke to non-smokers, we know.
A week or so ago,
You
it
smell.
would have been the Saturday before my birthday.
I guarantee you Doug
You know, I
knows.
get like that
He
on
just doesn't bring it up.
weekends, have a lie-in, then want to get up and blitz the house. Yes, yeah. I would have cleaned them. I changed the sheets too. With the fingerprints in all those places. Could they have been my parents' fingerprints? I'm not sure how long they last for, but is that possible?
So it sounds like
That
perhaps
would be right.
that they have a
In the bedroom?
stranger's fingerprints, something that doesn't match hers,
I sleep
someone they don't know.
on the right side of the bed as you come in from the door. You can tell because I have 2 pillows and he just has 1. What kind of hairs? A wig. You mean?
Ah, yes, the
What
wig.
type of wig? No.
A pig
I've
wig,
never worn a
you
wig.
know.
What kind of wig? Could the hairs have come from somewhere
Well, she really
else?
wants to know what kind of wig.
Could they? We have a lot of dolls in the attic.
Yeah, that's
There's a
what it is.
Rapunzel doll with long blonde hair. Could they have come from there?
This woman and her
Okay.
princesses.
I parked up in the street. It was busy, so I had to park down the end of the road. Walked up, knocked on the door, no answer. I took my keys out of my bag and unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. You can tell because the key doesn't turn when you try to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes in the shoe rack. I shouted out. I walked straight into the kitchen because he usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. But he wasn't there. I touched the kettle. It was cold. I looked quickly in the living room. Nothing. So I walked upstairs to the bedroom and he wasn't there. I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear he wasn't there. I had a shower. The phone rang whilst I was in the shower. I didn't answer it. I think it was Eric. Then I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, though I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me.
This
And I
is
remembered where
just
I was and what had happened.
such amazing
That's when Eric
recall
called again. This
of a
time I spoke
day.
to him. Then I called Bug and Eleanor.
I can't remember any of my
Yeah,
days this
so I couldn't see you.
specifically. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've never found my husband dead either. But I just don't. That's so much detail. Can you
Yes.
remember a day like that?
This is it.
Maybe
He made it
today.
himself. It was a special one-off. He made it. He decorated it.
Is it covered in blood?
That's his thing. Where did you find it? Silver leaf? No. He normally silvers them properly. This mirror, it's supposed to look antique. The reflection isn't as good. It's the perfect mirror for someone who doesn't like to look at their own reflection.
See, that seems like how she really feels, and that looked fake as shit.
Well, on his clothes, that would make sense. He made it by hand.
I feel
He
like
washes the silver onto the glass.
he definitely doesn't like to
That's
look
not
at
how they
herself.
make mirrors these days. He made the mirror and he gave it to me. On his throat. How? An affair. Simon wasn't having an affair. No, Simon wasn't seeing another woman. Good, happy. I mean, ups and downs like any couple, I guess, but we've been married for over 10 years. I don't know if anyone really changes. You just become more yourself. Simon was my prince, and that hasn't changed. Really? You're going to ask me about my sex life? I mean, isn't that private? Are you married? How is your sex life? Well, there you go. How many kids? So, our sex life is probably fairly average for a couple after 10 years of marriage. No, I have never been unfaithful. I've never cheated on Simon. No, you're talking to the wrong person if you think I'm some kind of slut. If you think I'm the kind of person that would have had sex with all those guys.
All what guys? What are you? Who are you talking about? What are you talking about? What guys?
He would go to the pub.
We haven't mentioned
He was
guys
drinking
anywhere
drugs
up to
there,
this
but no
point.
one
What does
ever
that mean?
went back to the house. Sometimes Eric, his boss, and his wife would come over for dinner. That would be us returning the favour. Diana's a really good cook, into her trendy ingredients. And the last time Simon cooked something off MasterChef, he got the recipe off Seedfax, and I did my Lloyd Grossman bit, commenting from the sidelines. I had to find fennel from the supermarket. Have you ever eaten fennel? Hurt someone? Yes. But everyone thinks that from time to time, right? You just want to lash out.
No, that's not healthy
Well,
thinking. I still
friend,
don't think it is.
I mean, she was a friend from when I was a kid. And she was always more popular with the boys, and I used to hate her for it. I mean, really hate her sometimes.
So you're aware she
Yes.
exists.
We'd fight. We fought on the beach once, and I held Eve's head underwater. There was no one else around. It was at the far end of the beach, and I held her head under.
Oh, so here's the crux. Is this real? Did she really do this?
I just wanted to kill her and watch her drown. But that was it. It was just a moment. We
That's-
made
that-
up after. It was a
I'm
long
caught on that one.
relationship.
Did she really kill a girl? Because I don't believe she had a
Police
twin that
station.
was stolen, and that's too
Yeah.
out of there.
When I was young, we ran away on my bed.
But if she really did do that to someone, how was that never found out?
London, and we thought we could break into his tour bus and have him take us with him. The taxi driver we paid to drop us off. I mean, we'd saved money, pinched a bit here and there to pay for the fare. He was suspicious because we were so young, so he told the police. So they came and picked us up and took me back to Portsmouth. My mum picked me up from the station. But I blamed everything on my friend Eve, so my parents let me off. Maybe a fresh cup of tea?
I wonder if your parents knew what Eve really was.
What are you doing talking about Eve?
Yeah, it seems like she had Eve under control up to this point. Like maybe she was held down. Now Eve is rearing her head. And she's trying to keep it under control.
Poor son.
Or
Just the one sugar. Thanks. Is that camera recording?
why would you even need to ask?
1984 was an awful year in the end. We were living at Doug and Eleanor's. I lost the baby at the end of spring and my parents died in the summer. It was a hot summer, a heat wave. So when they discovered the bodies, it was just awful. Because of the circumstances, them dying together like that, they brought in a lot of police. A forensic entomologist. I had to look that up. It was because of the heat. It's just awful. They said it was food poisoning. There was something in the food they
Did
ate.
Eve
My
kill
dad had
them?
to pick mushrooms, grow them too. They
Is
said
that-
it was mushrooms.
Is that what's been happening? Eve has been taking
It
care of
was
what Hannah thinks are
hard
her
to
problems throughout her life?
Death caps. They have a skirt around the cap. My dad taught me that. But, I mean, the police had no reason to think it was suspicious. They lived alone. And no one had any reason to hurt them. Yeah. They'd gone to bed feeling ill, thinking it was flu or something. The neighbour called me. I had to use my key to let them in. We found them dead in their bed. And they'd been there for days. No one had noticed. Just awful. It was so soon after my miscarriage. The worst year of my life. And I'd been so happy to get married, and after that it was just like, fuck.
Very convenient timing.
Yeah. I mean, I was infertile. thought I was. They told me I was infertile after the miscarriage because of complications. I would have been a good mother. I was young, but I would have been a good mother. She was a girl, by the way, the baby. We were going to call her Sarah. Simon wanted to call her Ava after his nana, but I didn't want her to have a symmetrical name.
So, you see, you knew it was a palindrome
That's all that
before.
matters,
Why are you
really.
calling it
The
symmetrical
baby.
now?
Simon's dead, but the baby, that's how he will live on.
Is it?
Our baby. No. No, Simon didn't play guitar. He wasn't very musical. He liked to listen, but he was tone deaf. Yes. Yeah, it's my guitar. Black, no sugar. Thanks. Okay. I parked up on the street. It was busy, so I parked down the end of the road. I walked up to the house. I knocked on the door.
No sugar this time.
I took my keys out of my bag, unlocked the door. The main lock was unlocked. I could tell because the key wouldn't turn when I tried to turn it to the left. I walked in. Simon's coat wasn't on the peg. I couldn't see his shoes on the shoe rack. I shouted out for him. I walked straight into the kitchen. He usually sits in there to have a cup of tea and read his paper. He wasn't there. I touched the kettle.
Yeah,
it
see,
was cold.
it's literally a
I looked
retelling
into
of
the
word
living
for
room,
word.
nothing. I walked upstairs to the bedroom.
It's
He wasn't
way
there.
too uncanny.
I didn't search for him because it was pretty clear
It's
he wasn't
definitely
there.
rehearsed.
Then I had a shower. Whilst I was in the shower, the phone rang. I think it was Eric, his boss. I didn't answer it. Then I came out and I was just exhausted. So I lay down on the bed and I fell asleep, but I didn't mean to. I woke up a couple of hours later and I was surprised to see no one in the bed next to me. And then I remembered where I was and what had happened. That's when Eric called again. I spoke to him. Then I called Simon's parents. And then I decided to come and see you. That enough?
It's too much.
Yes. I speak with Eleanor at least once a day. Not that there's anything much to say. It's more just...
Why
No,
was
okay.
this bit included? I don't understand. What purpose does that serve the
My
story?
tattoo.
Yes, you're...
I got it to express my individuality. It's an apple and a snake.
You got it yesterday.
About 8 years back. It was a present to myself.
You definitely didn't get that 8 years ago.
I shouldn't even be drinking coffee with the
You
baby.
didn't even get that 8
It's been
months
hard
ago.
trying to give it up.
I mean, it's not real.
I think they say you can have one. Do you have children? Cute. You must love
Are
them
we
very
still the
much.
same detective?
What ages are they? Must think it's very cool that their dad is a police detective.
Probably not.
Yeah, we were 17. It was a nice wedding, people said. Simon looked very handsome in the photos. His parents paid for everything, but he's an only child, so it was important to them. It was what they called a shotgun wedding, but if you looked at the photos, you couldn't tell. The dress was beautiful. It looked like Princess Diana's. The train wasn't quite as long though. There's a great photo of the bride.
The one personality really had to fiddle with the ring a lot. This one hasn't touched it yet.
Was he my first? No need to be so coy. No, he wasn't my first. That would have been Carl.
This is
He was a local boy.
definitely just
in the band.
you can tell now that
He
it's
was a
in
bit
order. This is
shit.
just a completely different
But
personality.
he was sexy. We were 15. No.
Definitely meant to
I was
make
15.
you think it's
Carl
someone
was
different, but
older.
I refuse to believe the
17.
different person thing, so. And
I was really into
if
him,
that is what it is,
regardless of
it
how
actually
much he
disappoints me a bit. to be honest.
Lots of drunken
I'm,
teenage
I'm not so
sex.
sure that there's an actual answer, though.
We did it in a church once. It's stupid. So he got tired of us and we split up after about 6 months. It was sad, but those early experiences, they help you realise who's really important to you, you know? Family. Family. So, Carl fucked off, and then there were other boys here and there, and then Simon. And the Glaziers. I worked there some weekends, and Simon had a part-time job there too. That was Eric's generosity. He was always good at helping out other people's children. Simon was quiet, more thoughtful than the other boys. Even then, he had a sense of craftsmanship. Wasn't always rushing stuff. Boys that age are just running around like headless chickens most of the time. You know? Plus, he had that look. He looked like a fairy tale prince from one of my books.
Ooh, Eve doesn't even seem to believe that. She seems to think it's
I wouldn't say
laughable.
that.
Like she's making fun of Hannah a bit.
It's just, it was more than that. It wasn't just sex like it had been with the other boys. Have I ever cheated on Simon? You asked that question yesterday. Simon was very moral about that sort of thing. He wouldn't just walk out there and sleep with anyone. He wasn't that kind of guy. He took his marriage very seriously. Simon never cheated on me. He was devoted to me, and I was devoted to him.
Sounds so fake.
Nothing in life was easy. We were good to each other.
Not saying it's impossible to have a relationship without cheating, but I am saying what she just said sounded fake as fuck.
Do what you can. You're reaching here. And I don't know why. No, I've never cheated on anyone. I've never taken anything from anyone. Simon is dead. But I have my baby to care for.
I haven't decided if
Why are you trying to make me sad?
I don't know if she's actually pregnant or not.
Why are you so obsessed with sex and affairs? You cheated on your wife. Is this your thing?
Yeah, so Eve is much more trying. Eve is like much more aggressive
And I
than
didn't
Hannah
kill
is.
him. I wasn't even there. I was in Glasgow worrying about whether my baby was still growing inside me. I mean, why would I kill Simon? I loved him.
Why would you be worried if your baby was inside you or not? Did something happen to make you think you lost it?
This other person doesn't exist. I don't know what the blonde
Car
is,
wreck?
but
You said it was
could be
just a
anything.
scratch. That's
Have you looked at the cat flap?
stretching.
I mean, what if they were crazy? You hear about these crazy people all the time. I mean, why would anyone who knew Simon want to kill him? No. I've had enough coffee for today, thanks. Glass of water.
Oh, is that what this is?
Is that camera recording?
She's had to change a shirt
You
because
put me on, you've been framed. I want the money.
she's had to change the shirt because she spilled it on her. This
Yeah.
isn't a different day.
That's me. But February, I mean, that was months ago. What's that got to do with Simon's murder? Well, I don't know. I probably had to pop out and get something, that's why I was speeding. And that wouldn't have been noted on my timesheet. But I really can't remember back to February.
Is that? I gotta check that real quick. Is it still the same day? It is still the same day. Okay. Okay, so the 30th is when you can see that she doesn't have a tattoo. You can see there that it goes low enough on her arm where it would be visible. on that arm, if she did have it there.
I remember the ticket, of course. I paid it without telling Simon. Didn't want to get told off. And they put points on the license. Like I said, I think I was popping out to get something, ran out of something, had to grab something. I sometimes drive too fast. If you want, you can arrest me for that. You must be desperate for leads if you're getting hung up over 6-month-old speeding tickets.
I mean,
There was a
it's not really desperate.
Something to do with
anything that leads to an answer. It doesn't really matter how old it is.
Are you sure? What would he be doing in Oxford if there was no conference? I remember calling him. Said it was boring and he spent most of the time at the bar. And the hotel said he was there? Okay, you got me. I'll confess. We were there. It was a dirty weekend. Simon was going to expense it, pretend it was a business trip. I used a made-up name. We stayed at the hotel, had room service, didn't leave the room, had a great view of the river, and you could hear the church bells. Like you said, it was very romantic. It was supposed to be a secret. Just because Simon is dead doesn't mean I have to give up all his secrets. It doesn't
That's
have
actually
anything
true.
to do with what happened to Simon.
If you want
No
to
one
find
learned
out
my
what happened to
husband
him,
because he cheated his expenses for a romantic weekend in Oxford.
I mean, yeah, proof of
Want me
that.
to play something?
Where did this come from? Oh, the last time she
I'm
admitted.
not the world's greatest guitar player.
We just gave her one because she said she had one? I don't.
It's tuning.
No, I don't understand that logic. God, this song.
How about a traditional ballad?
That's not a traditional ballad, madam. Lunatic. I do wonder if this is actually real or not, though, because she's told this story already.
There were two sisters came walking by the sea. Oh,
I think it's more of a metaphor for one personality killing the other personality. I'll be honest, I think the idea that I was having where Hannah or where Eve is doing this in an attempt to become the dominant personality, I think that might be a little close to truth.
Oh, the wind and the rain, but he only cared for the youngest one. All the dreadful wind. Oh, the eldest envied her sister fair. Oh, the
I think Simon preferred the Eve personality, and that made the Hannah personality very angry. I'm just not too sure how much Simon actually knew about what was going on. So I think as teenagers, Simon initially fell in love with the Eve personality, and the Hannah personality couldn't deal with that, so the Hannah personality pushed down the Eve personality. And now the Eve personality has been taking years building up. Maybe she literally caused the rift between Hannah and Simon.
That's a good place to stop.
No, it does not get weird from there. I've heard the rest.
Really? Okay. Here's the rest. Oh, they laid a body on the dock to dry. Oh, the wind and the rain, till a fiddler with a fiddle came walking by. Oh, the dreadful wind and rain. And he made a fiddle bow.
This part of the song I've been trying to decide what it could possibly be a metaphor for, though. And I'm just not. I just can't decide. Maybe it's a metaphor for the Eve personality literally now turning the story into music. I feel like that might be a stretch, though.
But the only tune that the fiddle could play was "Oh, the wind and the rain." Yes, the only tune that the fiddle could play was "Oh, the dreadful wind and rain." Anything you sing may be used as evidence against you. Simon and Eric arguing? No, I can't imagine they'd be arguing. And they get on so well. Unless it was something to do with work. Maybe Simon was being too much of a perfectionist. But I don't know. You should ask Diane.
What?
Coffee, I guess.
Why?
Milk and sugar. This is the third day running you've called me in. I speak to Doug and Eleanor every day. And they say you've been asking a lot of questions. About me. Should I be worried? Am I a suspect?
That's such a dumb question. You know you
See
are.
how it's hard. We've established I was in Glasgow when he was killed.
You said that. That doesn't mean it's established. I've not seen any evidence of that.
Rehearsed. You ask me the same question, you'll get the same answer.
That's the problem, though.
Is that your evidence?
Literally the same word-for-word answer.
Of course I thought about what happened then. It's all I've thought about.
Yeah, but it's like you've thought about it in the wrong way.
Twins? Really? Are you really asking me that question?
No. I mean, he might be. But no, I wouldn't be asking that. Because
Twins?
that would be ridiculous.
Really? Go on then. Take the cup. Run your fingerprints. They'll match.
I
Fucking idiot.
I don't know that or not. I'm not sure.
For fuck's sake. Can I leave?
Obviously not.
Are you going to arrest me? No. They'd laugh you out of the building. A lawyer would make mincemeat of you.
I'm so indignant.
No. Fuck off. Open this door. This is a nice of them. Is this where you take people when it's time to arrest them?
Maybe.
Yes. I understand my rights. No, I don't need a lawyer. Yes. No.
That level of angry
What are you going
reaction
to arrest me for?
doesn't make you look innocent in any way. I
don't
just
know
gotta
this,
say.
Simon. You've got it wrong. You've got the wrong person. Yes. I'll take a lie detector test.
That
I've never taken a lie detector test before. Does it really work?
no.
Yes. My name is Hannah Smith. Oh, shit. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I get it. Yes. 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 No. Yes. Yes.
I mean,
No.
I have no idea what's being
No.
asked, so who knows?
No. I can take this stuff off now. Did I prove I'm innocent?
Absolutely not.
My name. That was the only question I failed. Your lie detector works.
No, it doesn't.
My mother called me Eve. Well, she wasn't my real mother, but she raised me. Do you want to hear the story?
No. because
It's a real life fairy tale.
No, it's a real life load of shit. I'm sorry.
Across the road, where my parents first lived there, was a midwife called Florence. When Hannah was born, I was
Lawrence.
there at the same time. The midwife was there to help. I'd been throttled by the cord, probably wrapped around my neck by Hannah. The midwife told my mother I was dead. But I wasn't. She wrote all this stuff in a diary. Amazing what people will admit to on paper.
So, I'm not sure.
With her.
Actually,
Mother hadn't been expecting twins.
I do think.
Had a healthy baby.
I think what I've been saying actually up to this point might be it. I think the personality's been there for a long time, but when Simon happened, I think Hannah really pushed
Florence
down
raised me
Eve.
in her home. I never left it.
And slowly
She came out of
Eve
sight.
built herself back up.
It wasn't odd for people to see a midwife with a baby, carrying in supplies, washing nappies, that sort of thing.
And now that this has happened, Eve is coming along as a perfect answer to Hannah's plight.
I grew
But
up looking out of my window.
I think Eve has been planning it
Seeing her
to take control.
across the road. I thought it was like a reflection in the mirror.
See, I think all of this is a metaphor for actually. This is all just a metaphor because of how much she's got
The
princess
first time
on the
we saw each
brain.
other,
She's
it was
obsessed with it.
strange. We both realised at the same moment, I think. We must have seen each other before, but there was this instant when we first realised it wasn't a reflection. The reflection was staring back. I think I was 5. It was my birthday.
I think
The
Hannah
reflection was wearing a party hat.
created
and waving.
Eve
I
to.
knew what party hats were from books.
Maybe Hannah just didn't have any friends
And it's
or
something
felt like she didn't have anyone that cared about her.
Today must be
Not sure
my birthday.
why Eve was created.
I waved back and we just spent ages waving at each other and
Hopefully not
copying each other's
as
movements.
a reaction to Hannah actually killing and drowning some girl. That would be terrible. I think that was also a
Mother wanted me to
metaphor,
wear my hair
though,
long,
just for
but
holding Eve
I
down.
kept cutting it myself. I wanted to look like my reflection. She always had short hair when she was little. Mother would hide the scissors, but I would find a way. Cut it with a bread knife, something like that.
You,
My
no, you,
reflection
no, you didn't.
would always leave her house and go on adventures. But
It's like saying I cut my hair with a pencil.
Mother taught me at home, and I had books and TV. Oh, TV was magical, but it was only on when it wanted to be, so I spent a lot of time reading books.
Yes, I can tell.
Fairy tales. Stories about lost princesses, evil witches,
Because Hannah and
magical
Eve
mirrors, and lost
are
children.
both obsessed
So you
with
see,
fairy tales.
even before I knew the truth, I'd found it in those stories.
Or you've
Florence was a
substituted the
warm,
stories for the
kind
truth.
person,
No,
but she was broken. I
see,
guess.
you don't refer to the woman that stole
When
you
I
as a
found her
warm,
diary, I
kind
was
person. What are you talking
Found a
about?
biscuit tin,
She kidnapped
stuff
you.
in it, older papers, letters, that kind of thing.
Admittance of kidnapping you. That seems like that'd be the important part.
I never really spoke to her about it. I was far too young to really understand. I guess I just put it together later.
That's because actual interaction with other people would
She had love, children.
bring light to how difficult it is to
Large
make your
family.
story work. That's why you never talked to her about it, because she
Her
wasn't.
husband died in the
Well,
war.
Florence could have lived across the street, just
That's back when
she
you
didn't
married for
kidnap
life.
you.
She never felt like she could marry again. Isn't that strange? She was a widow from her 20s.
There's no ring now. I've noticed that.
But, I mean, I guess it was different then. You know, you married for life and she felt she could never marry again. I guess it was harder, a war with
I think the
them.
ring's been taken off and the tattoo has been added to add credence
One of
that
the dead.
Eve is a real person as opposed to.
I don't know, maybe there was more to it than that. I don't really know.
I'm not sure Eve has ever been real. I'm pretty sure Eve has always been imaginary.
It
Well,
was just
imaginary.
me and her.
She's as real as
He
I
was
guess as
name
the
they
Hannah
called their
personality
first
is.
child. They talked about it, and I'm going to try when he came back. Florence's family had a history of firstborn girls, so they were convinced it was going to be a girl. It's hard to know if this is all true. These are stories I remember that I read when I was a child. Maybe I misread, maybe I misunderstood.
So-
Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened last week.
I don't believe that.
When I was 8, Mother died. She slipped down the stairs.
This is the
It
first
was
death
instant.
associated with Eve.
I had read a diary at that point, and I knew she wasn't my real mother. So I burned the diary that day, and I left.
Why?
Walked out and across the street.
The only reason to burn the diary is to get rid of the evidence. And if she slipped and
I
you
wanted
walked
to
out
see
across
my
the street,
reflection.
what did the police have to say about that?
I thought that if I touched her,
Police would be able to tell someone had been living in her house with her. Just saying.
we would become one.
You already were
One
one.
girl.
You have been the whole time.
The fairy tale was over.
This does seem like
which was
Eve
dead,
saying
and
she
I'd
wants to
been
take
restored
over,
the
though.
rightful place.
You just referred to her as warm and loving. Why is she a witch now?
She told me
You
to
can't
come
get your fairy
inside,
tale straight.
and she hid me.
No.
They had made the attic into a place where Hannah could play. It was a dollhouse. She hid me up there. No one else ever went into the attic. It was her place. I'm not sure where the dollhouse came from. I don't know if it was given to them or they inherited it. I mean, they wouldn't have had the money to buy it. It was so huge. It must have been taken up to the attic in parts and then reassembled up there.
You know, I have just realized that the Eve personality doesn't identify itself as a real thing until the detectives
Furniture,
say that they think there might
work.
be twins.
mirrors, beds, big duvets.
That's
and
interesting.
pillows. We spent hours and hours playing.
Almost like it's a
invented all these
creation
characters
as a
and
response.
families who lived there. We wrote paperwork for them all.
Or-
Passports, diaries, gave them all really elaborate stories.
Huh.
Once, a moth got trapped in there. We'd left a light on. It was making the most horrendous noise. We tried to kill it, but it was tough. We ended up crushing it under a copy of the Arabian Nights.
How did
It
we?
just became our way of life. We would swap places.
Both
and
of you
take
grabbed a side of the book to
turns.
kill a moth?
And we were
That
very
seems
careful. Whoever had been out that day would
Really
come back and
excessive.
write a detailed diary so that we were on the same page. We had a list of rules that said what we could and couldn't do in any given situation. It was exhaustive. We lived a second life through those rules. Rules for things that could only ever happen inside our imaginations. We would consider all the permutations of future events and agree rules to walk our way through them.
Why? Why wouldn't you just tell your parents that loved you from a childhood that they had another daughter and look who it is? Oh, the lady next door is terrible. Why would you not tell them the truth? Why would you not come out as an adult?
Once, I
That's
saw the boy
what.
who was seeing another girl. The girlfriend came up to Hannah the next day and punched her in the face, gave her a huge black eye. That night, she had to do the same to me. And she almost went too far. I couldn't see out of that eye for days.
The Hannah personality is quite angry. She has suppressed rage. But Eve seems to be
So
the
much of our bodies
conniving
were
one.
synchronized anyway. We started our period on the same day. When our childhood diseases, stomach bugs, nits.
Almost like you're the
Mum
same
and Dad
person,
never
actually.
had any reason to notice. They were always busy. If Hannah was eating a lot, they didn't mind. She didn't put on any weight.
I think that means
Girl
mom
was a
and
whole
dad were
lot
too
better.
busy to notice that she
If
had
they
two
heard
personalities.
us talking
Which
in
I could
the
understand.
attic, they
Perhaps
just playing one of her
she
games,
doesn't suffer from
and that he
childhood
was our
abuse, it's
imaginary
just
friend.
childhood abandonment, which is a form of childhood abuse,
Once
don't get me wrong.
She was already up and dressed and
But by
ready
abuse, I
to
don't
go to
mean
school, and I snuck
maybe
down
her
the
parents
place.
didn't like treat her
Mum
like
saw me
shit or
right
beat
under
her or
the
anything.
mad.
Maybe they just
Get
didn't
dressed
pay any
sensitive,
attention to her.
so
And the way she
Doctor
dealt with that
Robin
was to create
and
a split
St.
personality
James,
as a
"I'll
friend.
take Hannah, dressed and ready." My mum was amazed. When we weren't together, we'd send secret messages by tapping out a code that we'd learned from a book, the knock code. Something prisoners of war would use. We'd tap them out on radiator pipes or the attic floor.
I still don't know. Look at how much of a trance she's in, right? It gets to me still. I don't think this is just the actress doing. Well, maybe it was.
Dad thought we had mice, but they couldn't find any.
I don't
Bought a cat anyway.
see how anyone would think that was mice.
We loved our cat, Domino. He had this little bell around his neck to stop him from killing birds in the garden. And we used to write each other notes and put them in the bell, and we could send them to each other. Mum found some of the notes once, and she thought I was just writing to myself because our handwriting was identical.
Imagine that.
And we had our own words for things, so she didn't quite understand them anyway.
I can believe that.
We were obsessed with fairy tales. Not just the pretty, pretty ones, but the traditional ones. They were dark and real, bizarre and violent. Felt like life.
Those real fairy
We had this
tales.
huge old book that I think Mum must have bought from a library sale. The illustrations had thin tracing paper over them to protect them. They were in colour, shiny plates. At the front of the book was an index of illustrations. We read that more than the actual stories. We'd read aloud the captions and flip between the pictures. There was something intimate about peeling back the tracing paper, undressing the pictures. Rapunzel's hair is cut. The eagle plucks out his heart. The princess pricks her finger. There were always princes and princesses. They were the special people.
Trust me,
More
it's
important
always
than the
about
other
that with you,
characters
yes.
and their stories. We knew we were like that. Twins. Magical. We were the princesses. We had a poster of Princess Diana from the newspaper up in our attic. Had pride of place. And underneath we used to put all our special things. When her engagement was announced, we were obsessed with everything she did. And later, when her life went so bad, we felt for her. Her divorce last year just kind of drew a line under things.
Wait a couple more years.
When beautiful people died, we always felt like it was a sign. You remember Princess Grace? Grace Kelly? She died in a car crash the year before we met Simon. We used a Ouija board to speak to her, and that gave us the power to find him. That's what we thought then. That people who died tragically leave some kind of magic behind. We used to share dreams. We used to wake up and write them down in our diaries immediately and compare them.
That, I believe it's called borderline personality
Mum and Dad
disorder,
knew what was going on.
where you
Got
think
so
like
good at it.
things are like a
Also,
sign
we
for
used
you
each other to cheat.
to change your life.
If one of us had a hangover, the other one would go to school. Whoever was best at a subject would sit the exam. There were lots of differences between us. Some things one is better than the other at.
That might be going too deep into it, though.
Differences? She's a better driver than me. She passed the test for us. I tried to take it and nearly crashed the car. learned that you can't rely on confidence to get you through everything.
So you had to let her do that.
She is the shy one. She was especially shy around boys. If Hannah liked a boy, I would have to pursue him. It was that way with Carl. Hannah met him first.
Which is why Hannah can say seriously she didn't sleep with a bunch of men, because she didn't.
After a night that his band had played at. It got difficult. When I was with Carl, we would have sex, but Hannah couldn't let him see she was a virgin. She had lots of excuses. After a while, we decided that I should take Hannah's virginity.
Oh, yeah, this part.
A bruise, pulling a tooth, a graze.
Yeah, not any different.
We used a hairbrush. After that, we took it in turns, though. I was always the one who seduced the boys. Until Simon. Hannah was so smitten with Simon. She started getting jealous, didn't want to share. Even the first date. We went to see Tom Cruise at the Old Odeon. We both went, kept changing places in the toilet. We only had the one best dress, so we had to keep swapping clothes. Must have thought we had terrible bladder problems. The next date, it was my turn.
All of this dialogue still works if you just believe it's one person with multiple personalities. None of this actually rules out that possibility that I've heard so far.
After that, it was Hannah's turn, and she slept with him. Broke the rules. Deliberately broke the rules. She wanted to be the first to sleep with him. I mean, that's when she got pregnant. From that one time. Can you imagine? I tried. I tried to get pregnant too, but it didn't happen. I slept with so many boys, men. My body refused.
And what if she was pregnant with a girl and you were pregnant with a boy? What then?
I was pretty.
How are you going to raise a child literally in the attic in secret? What?
I really fucked things up. Set us down separate paths.
This feels like something even a 17-year-old could figure out. You know?
No. The parents decided there would be a wedding. And after the wedding, Hannah moved in with his parents. There was no way I could follow. So we were separated again.
And what did you do?
I stayed in the attic. It was hard.
So,
it's like I suddenly didn't
in the
exist.
attic, she stayed in her head.
I would sneak out, but in case anyone recognized me, I started wearing a wig.
Ah. So when you needed time to take over, you wore a wig to go do whatever it is you wanted to do.
But I couldn't. I mean, I couldn't do it with anyone we knew, so it was sex with strangers. Drunk guys I'd met.
See, now I believe that the Eve personality actually did do this. Maybe the Eve personality didn't believe that she was,
It felt like I was being punished.
I don't know, actually. I feel like they both...
It was Hannah who had betrayed us.
Yeah, I haven't decided if I know if Hannah knows if Eve's... He has to know, though, right? Cute.
When we met up, it was disturbing. For the first time, my reflection, she didn't look like me. She was fatter, flushed. If anything, I was getting skinnier. I found it hard to look sometimes. We talked about what to do. Was it time to become our own people? I mean, that seemed like the right thing to do, but neither of us wanted it. We agreed that her and Simon would get their own place as soon as possible, and then I could move in. And that was the plan. Hannah had a miscarriage. This was late in the pregnancy.
I hate to believe that Eve caused Hannah to have a miscarriage. Or opposite of that, Eve caused Hannah to have a miscarriage, is what I meant. See, she seems pleased about it.
Mind again. But Hannah and Simon were still living with his parents. They were married. Simon had a job at the Glaziers now. Eric had given him a full-time position after he left school. And then I was living in the attic. It was a very hard time. I was depressed. I was still pretty sick of the STD. And I came down one morning and they were dead. They were in bed and both had been sick. They'd thrown up a lot. And I slept through it. The police said it was the mushrooms they ate. Dad was a mushroom expert. I mean, he used to take us picking with him and he taught us how to recognise them. And there's no way he would have picked dead caps.
No way he would, but you've already identified you know exactly what they look like.
The police believe that's what happened. They never even looked in the attic.
What?
Yes, it was a cremation for the best. We both wore black and had veils, so it was easy. And after the funeral, everyone came back to the house.
It wants me to believe things like that. I just refuse.
I stayed out.
You've got a veil on, so no one notices there's two of the exact same person.
The legal stuff was completed very quickly.
Dumbest thing ever.
I moved back in with Simon. Eric gave Simon the week off to help with the move. He decorated, modernised wallpaper curtains. Hannah insists the attic be left as it was, dollhouse and all. Simon never went up there.
And
It lasted about 6 months. I tried to carry on, but everything was different. Hannah insisted I not pretend to be her around Simon, let alone sleep with him. We didn't share him like the others.
I mean,
The rules had changed.
I mean, if you're different people, isn't that like her choice, dude?
Weird, in a way it hadn't been before. So I moved out. Got a small bed sit. Got my tattoo to mark the occasion. I was singing in a bar in the evenings, so I had some money, enough money to cover my rent.
So, does the Hannah personality go out every night to become Eve and sing in a bar?
I haven't put down any roots. I don't exist. He saw me singing one of my shows. Pure chance. Not sure I remember what he was even doing there. Afterwards, I had a drink at the bar and he came over and we got talking. I knew who he was. Obviously I knew who he was. But he didn't know who I was.
Do I believe that?
Fascinated by the likeness. He guessed
Maybe.
my tattoo. Told me it was a palindrome. Well, that would impress me.
Maybe he wasn't aware?
Talking to him.
Maybe he actually thought they were actually different people.
To sit and interact and talk to him after all this time. He didn't tell me he was married. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He later told me it was like he was dreaming. A waking dream. No. No, he wasn't wearing his wedding ring.
Ooh.
Nothing else happened that night. We talked, then I said goodbye. Then next week I was singing in the bar again and there he was. And again the next week.
Maybe Simon does prefer the Eve personality, like I was saying. It seems to be that way.
I told him I had already eaten, and so we got chips and ate them on the beach instead. When we said goodbye, he asked me to kiss him. Romantic. Yes, I thought about telling Hannah. I felt guilty after the kiss. But then it began to feel like this was the way it should be. Sharing, like we had before. He never mentioned her to me. There was the Simon with me and the Simon with her.
How do you know about the Simon with her?
It was almost like
Did she talk about it?
Simon.
How do you know?
But after the kiss, the next time, he took me back to the house, to our parents' house, to their house. So, it was definitely him. I sometimes think he wanted to get caught to prove to himself that we were different people. He told me about his marriage, told me how his wife was completely different to me.
Maybe he knew and he was trying. No. I feel like Hannah personality knows Eve personality is real and vice versa.
At the house.
So I feel like he was trying to prove to himself that you were in fact different people.
Amazing, right? This fucking magic spell.
I mean, that's how it works. It's not that shocking. What happens?
I was 3 periods. I had pretty irregular periods anyway, but 3. I had always thought we were infertile. Both of us. I didn't tell him.
I'm not.
Just waited.
The being infertile after a miscarriage thing almost feels like another one of those fairy tale things. A trope.
I think she was. No. I told her it was one of my boyfriends, someone I had met in the bar. I think she was happy. But I could tell she was thinking, why couldn't it happen to her and Simon? They were the ones with the real life. Why not them? Then she told me she wanted to help more. She said I should move in with her. She would come clean with Simon about me. I was family. I couldn't have a baby in a bedsit. I told her I didn't want to tell Simon. Told her to wait for the time being. When she went home, Simon had a birthday tea waiting. Afterwards, she told Simon about me, told him I was pregnant. She wanted me to move in with them, this sister he didn't know she had. She knew that instant. The look on his face. She sent him out the house, kicked him out, called me up, crying, and I went round. I guess I had a feeling I could hear something was wrong in her voice, but I wasn't sure what it was.
If she knew right then, why did she invite you over immediately?
She never calls me that.
Why wouldn't she be angry at you?
This was about 9. I went round and she was waiting for me. She was furious and so angry.
So she called you over to have a fight?
Towards yourself. We screamed at each other, argued, cried, we fought. I hit her back, left a bruise. I had my wig on from performing, she tore it off.
Oh, she's doing the thing again.
Eventually, we grew tired of fighting.
Except now there's no ring.
I left. It's like I told you before, I drove. I took the car and drove. I don't have my own car, but I have a spare set of keys. I just drove north. I wanted to think, put some space between me and them. Everything I told you before is true. I stopped at Glasgow. I was tired, exhausted. I pulled out and I hit a car. My car was okay, but I was worried about the baby, so I went to A&E to get the okay. Everything was fine. Slept in the car. When I woke, I tried to call Hannah from a payphone. She wasn't answering. And then I decided to drive back. I had decided that She was more important to me than Simon. Like I said before, it was 3, something like that. I walked in, saw Simon. He was on the floor of the living room. His throat had been cut.
Okay, so when the police came to do their investigation, what about all the blood in the living room where his throat was cut? Where you found him in the basement?
Instead,
That's what you said. It's just,
she was sat behind him.
I need answers to these things.
She had my wig on. And she'd been there all day. And she had blood on her. And she was in shock. Her story is that she'd waited for him to come back. She put on my wig, some of my clothes, pretended to be me. They talked. She'd enjoyed being me. He said he wanted to be with me. Then he took out a present, another mirror, just like the one he'd given her earlier. That unique present. She went crazy, smashed the mirror. They argued, screamed. He hit her. So she grabbed a piece of the mirror and just swung it round. She cut his throat clean open. She'd only meant to scare him off.
You've given me several examples of how she's been violent. This is the first time you've talked about him being violent.
Silently. The baby was what mattered.
Why did all of a sudden he become someone that hits people?
We cleaned up. We bagged up the broken mirror, her clothes. They're gone. We took him down to the cellar. We had an alibi, and we wanted the body to be found later. We wanted to have suspicion on us, so we could then disprove it, rather than have it linger.
That's a terrible plan.
Better to keep the body in the house than risk being seen with it.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
The watch, that was my touch.
Yeah, it was a terrible touch.
To make sure the alibi stuck.
That's dumb.
My sister is gone. And she's never coming back. Can you arrest someone who doesn't exist? I'd like to speak to a lawyer now.
Oh, imagine that.
Please. You have no murder weapon. You have nothing. And all these stories we've been telling each other. Just that. Stories.
Well, madam, I wish you luck having that stick in a court of law. Well, folks, that does it for her story. By and large, I've enjoyed this. I disagree with some bits of it about rationality, but hey, I mean, it wasn't a Hollywood story. I'm pretty sure this was produced in the UK, but when I say Hollywood, I mean made for entertainment. Obviously, it can't stick too strongly to reality, but there are some bits in it that just get me a little irritated, but I loved this game. I thought it was great. Hopefully you did too. My final thought is I don't think there's two people. I strongly believe that there's two personalities. I believe, actually what I've been saying, I believe Eve has been tearing her way through Hannah's head to become the dominant personality, and I believe she set this whole thing up to become the dominant personality. If you believe something different, or if you just want to tell me how wrong I am, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear about what other people think is the actuality here. I'm not going to look anything up, though, see if there's like an official answer. I like having my answer in my head, and would enjoy reading about what other people think. I'm not so sure I want to hear the official answer to it, though. I hope you've enjoyed going on this journey with me. I love all of you, and remember, a stash isn't the hair on your lip. It's the source of your power. So, look what I forgot about and I just found. Well, this changes everything, doesn't it? I literally just finished exporting my finale video, and I completely forgot about this. And I just noticed it, and I seriously thought this was going to make the credits roll. I did not think this was going to happen. I don't have anything set up, and I just started recording immediately because, well, that's quite the bomb, isn't it? I do think I understand why. I've taken some time to think about it, and I think even having had the baby, I still think that I'm sticking to what I thought the answer was. I still think it's one woman with multiple personalities. And that the game is asking me, it was asking the daughter, Sarah, does she understand why? I was trying to think like justification for killing her father, but I still think it's mental illness. That's why what happened. I think maybe Sarah grew up without a mother or a father, and that's why she was there for answers. That's what I'm going to stick with. That's what I believe. I'm glad I found this little bit at the end, though. It opens up new possibilities, and I enjoy that.